Welcome to Smoke Pit, where every story isn't just a curious anecdote, but a mirror reflecting humanity's unquenchable curiosity for the unknown. If this is your first step into this world, or if you're still wondering what Smoke Pit truly is, I urge you to take a few minutes to watch the pinned intro video in the description below. It's not just a video, it's a compact guide leading you through shadowy twists, unanswered questions, and bizarre mysteries we'll unravel together. I'm Jake, your guide, a former soldier who's spent the last 10 years sharing stories like these on YouTube. Today, I'm back with a new adventure, a journey into strange lights in the sky, inexplicable signs, and anomalous phenomena, mostly around US military bases. You might be asking, are these stories real or just tales spun for views? I welcome your skepticism, honestly. At Smoke Pit, doubt isn't a closed door, it's the key to more questions. I want you to hear these stories with an open mind, but never hesitate to question. Because amid seemingly wild tales, there's often a sliver of truth, a faint glow illuminating corners we've never dared to face. The stories I'm about to share might feel like stepping into a Hollywood sci-fi flick, where Independence Day shakes hands with X-Files, where reality and fiction blur, and familiar boundaries dissolve. But you know what? That uncertainty is where the thrill lies. I'm not here to convince you to believe in UFOs or unidentified objects in the sky. I don't expect you to swallow every story just because they come from people who wore uniforms, guarded borders, or heard engines roar in the night. I only ask you to listen, with curiosity, an open heart, and respect for those brave enough to share their experiences. Because behind every story is a person. Someone like you or me who looked up and saw something they couldn't name. Maybe a fleeting light in the black night, a silent hovering object, or a strange shape gliding over a quiet forest. That moment, when eyes meet the inexplicable, etches itself into their minds, a memory that never fades. Today, I invite you to join me on this journey. It promises no answers, no neat endings, but it will spark the excitement of a child hearing ghost stories by a campfire's glow. Brace yourself as we dive into eerie tales of UFOs, mysterious lights, and unexplainable phenomena. Stories tied to military bases across the US, from Kentucky to Nevada, from tranquil farmlands to places sealed in secrecy. And if you feel afraid, know you're not alone. We all carry a mix of doubt, fear, and thrill when facing the unknown. It's human nature, the instinct to explore, to seek truth, to peek behind the veil, even just a little. So I encourage you to hold on to that spirit, skeptical yet curious, ready to believe in the impossible. Whether you're watching with a hot coffee, a Big Mac, or even an MRE, that field ration tied to soldier life. Relax, we're starting now. Put down your phone, dim the lights, and open your mind to the stories you're about to hear. Because at Smoke Pit, every story isn't just a tale, it's an invitation. An invitation to a world where questions outnumber answers, where truth and mystery intertwine, and where every gaze turns skyward, seeking something beyond ourselves. Welcome, new friend, to Smoke Pit. Get ready. The journey's just begun. The first story in our journey through the mysteries of the sky takes us back to Kentucky on a summer evening in 1977. As the last rays of sunlight melted behind the tree line, the Fort Knox sky draped itself in a deep, silent darkness, concealing secrets witnessed by only a fortunate few. Mike, then just a teenager living 15 minutes drive from the military base, stood in his backyard, eyes tracing the stars flickering into view. Perhaps in his young mind, scenes from Star Wars, watched for the 10th time, still danced vividly. But that night, what appeared in the sky wasn't like any movie he'd ever seen. A blinding red light pierced the darkness, followed by 1, 2, 3 glowing orbs, radiant and powerful like Humvee headlights, drifting across the sky in a perfect triangular formation. Mike's head tilted back, his heart pounding faster, as he realized these lights made no sound. No jet engine roar, no whir of rotor blades, just an eerie stillness enveloping the world, as if it held its breath. The orbs glided directly overhead, roughly 1,000 feet up, moving deliberately toward Fort Knox, leaving a faint, mystical, unsettling trail in the sky. Mike wasn't one to buy into wild tales. Growing up near the base, he was used to the thunder of Black Hawk helicopters, the earth-shaking rumble of M1 Abrams tanks. But these lights, silent unlike any vehicle he knew, felt like a scene from the Twilight Zone. He stood frozen, jaw dropped, staring until the 3 orbs melted into the dark. When silence reclaimed the night, Mike was left with a gnawing question. What had he just seen? A UFO? A classified military test? Or just light from a Pizza Hut sign bouncing off the clouds? But Mike's story isn't alone. Years later, thousands of miles north in central Maine, a teenage girl named Sarah witnessed something eerily similar. On a quiet night with a gentle breeze stirring the fields behind her house, Sarah sat by her window, gazing into the encroaching dark. Suddenly, a flashing white light appeared above the distant tree line. At first, she thought it was an airplane's beacon, a mundane guess for a mundane night. But as the light drew closer, sharper, a triangular shape emerged, defined by 3 distinct glowing points at its vertices, hovering and drifting slowly across the sky. What stunned Sarah wasn't just its form, but the absolute silence surrounding it. No engine hum, no wind, no sound to break the night. A chilling hush, as if the sky held its breath with her. Sarah called her dad and brother. The 3 stepped onto the porch, eyes skyward, sharing a moment both surreal and tangible. A moment none were sure was real. They stood motionless, watching the triangular lights glide silently, then vanish into the dark, leaving a question hanging in the air. Days later, Sarah shared the story with a friend, a Southwest Airlines pilot. He shook his head quietly, explaining her area was a no-fly zone, off-limits to commercial or private planes. The nearby Loring Air Force Base had long been shuttered, inactive. So what had Sarah, her dad, and her brother seen? The question lingered, like an forgotten MRE in a ruck after training, sitting there awaiting an answer that might never come. Mike's and Sarah's stories, though decades and thousands of miles apart, share uncanny similarities. 3 blazing red lights, moving in a triangular formation, hovering silently in the night sky, appearing near military bases, then vanishing as if they never were. Coincidence? Secret military tech? Or something beyond human understanding? No one knows for sure. But one thing is certain. Stories like these endure, passed from generation to generation. A reminder that the sky above holds countless mysteries. Sometimes all we can do is look up into that vast expanse and wonder. Are we being watched from the other side? To continue our thread of mysteries, we leave the US, crossing the northern border into Canada, a vast, serene land hiding enigmas yet to be unraveled. This time, the story takes us to Edmonton, Alberta, on a summer night in 2015, as the city slipped into deep slumber, streetlights dimming to faint glimmers. A young man named Tom sat alone on the sprawling grass of his family's farm, his eyes quietly fixed on a star-strewn sky. That night, a gentle breeze whispered through endless fields, weaving a soothing backdrop to Tom's wandering thoughts. Perhaps he was trying to shake off the sting of last night's defeat, when his beloved football team fumbled victory at the last second. Or maybe he simply sought solace days, the quiet romance of a starry night amid untamed nature. Whatever the reason, Tom was there. At the precise moment the sky chose to grant him an unforgettable encounter. As his gaze drifted across the dark, among thousands of twinkling stars, a peculiar light caught his attention. At first, it seemed like just another star, small, faintly pulsing, nestled in the vast sky. But then, Tom noticed something odd. Around that light, 3 others formed a perfectly symmetrical triangle, stark and flawless, sending a shiver through him. Just stars, he told himself, trying to dismiss the eerie feeling. But a part of him knew these stars were unlike any he'd ever seen. In that moment, time seemed to freeze. Tom's eyes locked on the sky, curiosity mingling with nervous excitement. Then, abruptly, the central light moved. Slowly, almost lazily, it glided between the other 2 before shifting color, from white to a blazing red, like a flame igniting in the silent night. And then, like an arrow of light, it shot upward, piercing the darkness, vanishing into the infinite void. It happened so fast, Tom could scarcely trust his eyes. He sat motionless on the grass, heart pounding, mind reeling with shock and endless questions. What was that? A satellite? A drone? Or something else? Something science couldn't explain. Tom fumbled for his DSLR camera, hoping to capture the moment. But, cruelly, this was his first time using the new device. Its buttons, modes, and settings were a labyrinth in his hands, leaving him as flustered as a Fort Bragg lieutenant lost in a jungle. "Wish I'd known how to record," he sighed, half frustrated, half regretting the missed chance. As the strange light faded, the sky returned to its tranquil state, vast and indifferent, as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. But in Tom's heart, a strange feeling stirred, fear, excitement, and the sense he'd brushed against something beyond human understanding. He lay back on the grass, eyes still scanning the sky, wondering if anyone else had seen that light, or if he alone bore witness. Days later, sharing the story with others, Tom met a range of reactions: skepticism, playful jabs, cautious curiosity. What troubled him most was discovering, online, accounts eerily matching his own. 3 lights in a triangular formation, silent, hovering near military bases, then vanishing mysteriously. These stories, whether from Kentucky, Maine, or Canada, shared uncanny details. Tom began to wonder, mere coincidence? Or a fragment of a larger puzzle, a mystery unfolding in the skies most of us never notice? Deep down, Tom no longer saw the night sky as before. Each time he looked up, he tracked every light, every motion, as if awaiting that red glow's return. The sky was no longer the inert canvas of a football-loving kid, but a vast dome brimming with questions, whispering the universe's secrets. Like Mike and Sarah, Tom had unwittingly become a witness, carrying a story without answers, one that would shadow him for years. What were those lights? Classified military tech? Signals from another world? Or a trick of light and mind? No one knows. But one truth stands: those fleeting moments have the power to shift how we see the world. They remind us that amid daily life's small sorrows, sports losses, or nameless worries, Another world exists, vaster, stranger, deeper than our eyes can grasp. And so Tom keeps looking up, night after night, a silent vow to himself. He'll never stop searching, believing, hoping that one day that light will return over Edmonton's quiet sky. And this time, he'll be ready to capture it. Our journey through the enigmatic lights in the sky doesn't end with triangular formations. Across diverse lands, myriad strange shapes prompt a question. Are all signals from the unseen trying to reach us? Emily's story, a girl from Ohio in the 1960s, opens a different sky, where lights don't just hide behind hills but shimmer like golden gems in the night. On a sultry summer night, beneath a moonless sky spread like black velvet, Emily and her brother knelt on a picnic table outside their porch, hands sticky with tree sap and fireflies glowing in a mason jar. The chirp of crickets and rustle of reeds wove a rural symphony. Emily leaned back, eyes tracing fleeting specks in the sky. At first, she thought them shooting stars, until she noticed they moved in a perfect diamond formation. 12 radiant golden lights, arranged like a gleaming crystal suspended in the air. These lights didn't flicker like stars or pulse like fireflies, but held a steady brilliance, drifting in a fixed orbit above the fields. They glided through the silent sky, making no sound, Emily recalled, her face still alight with awe. She called to her brother, engrossed in catching fireflies, but he shrugged, insisting they were civilian planes. What plane hovers in a diamond shape, gliding noiselessly like a specter? Emily fell silent, eyes fixed on the golden array, watching them drift away, leaving the sky as if nothing had happened. Emily's tale isn't just a childhood memory. It's evidence of the variety of strange phenomena. Not just triangles, but diamonds, circles, even pentagons or hexagons. This diversity fuels speculation. Does each shape carry a distinct message? Or are they products of covert technologies yet to be unveiled? Farther afield, across US borders, we meet Chris, a man raised in Europe who, at 15, witnessed a hexagonal object. That night, Chris and friends gathered by a lake, preparing for an overnight camp. A faint moon cast silver ripples, crickets blending with laughter. As Chris gazed at the water's reflection, he spotted an odd structure hovering amid low clouds. 6 sharp edges, each angle precise, like a metallic map suspended in the sky. He insisted it wasn't an illusion or optical trick. The hexagon was vivid, solid as the M16 he'd later hold in the military. It hung in the sky, silent, then moved slowly west, Chris recounted. He studied its lines, edges, trying to gauge its mass or material, but found no rational answer. When he and a friend aimed a flashlight at it, the object didn't reflect light normally, but emitted a hazy halo, chilling them both. Chris isn't alone in reporting hexagons. Leaked documents tied to Area 51 and other secret projects mention polygonal objects, speculated to be U.S. Air Force test craft. The mystique surrounding Nevada's classified bases fuels questions. Has the military developed undisclosed airframes or drones? Or are we witnessing something from far beyond our planet? From Ohio to Alberta, from quiet valleys to Nevada's desert borders, countless wondrous phenomena appear in varied shapes, colors, and silences, often that eerie, unsettling silence. Some see golden specks, others red triangles, or metallic hexagons. Their only constant is the unnatural stillness, as if the world holds its breath with the witness. These shapes aren't mere light tricks. They reveal a deeper truth. our skies remain uncharted. Each night as we look up, other unseen structures may hover, watching, waiting. Each appearance stirs a mix of excitement and unease. Is something grander unfolding beyond human control? For American audiences, these stories aren't just entertainment. They tap into a pride in exploration and openness to the unknown. From Ohio's tranquil fields to Canada's vast lawns to Nevada's sun-scorched deserts, each place is a chapter narrating a thirst for understanding that forged the American spirit. If you've hesitated before a fleeting sky photo, think of Emily and Chris. They didn't shy from the strange. They watched, noted, and shared their stories. Some moments appear once, and if you miss them, they fade into the dark, leaving only a vague memory. So when night falls and odd streaks light the sky, don't rush to judge or scoff. Instead, pause, find a quiet spot, your porch, a field, a backyard lawn, and look up. Let those strange shapes tell you a story beyond imagination. They might be test tech, rare natural quirks, or just maybe traces of a distant civilization from another horizon. When their story ends, you'll see that amid life's bustle, there's space for mystery, a pause for curiosity, a gap for hope. These strange shapes remind us the world is vaster than we think, and its unsolved riddles await discovery. On the road to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, home of the 101st Airborne Division that marched from Normandy to Afghanistan, the night can be denser than any tapestry. The headlights of patrol vehicles and faint glows from guard posts pierce the darkness like signal beacons. In that quiet expanse, a veteran named Ryan, seasoned by international campaigns, witnessed a phenomenon he could never forget. In 2005, after a grueling training session under blazing sun and relentless commands, Ryan chose to walk off the tension around Sabre Army Airfield, a few miles from the barracks. On the deserted gravel road, wind whispered through low trees, carrying scents of fuel and gunpowder. Pausing by a barbed wire fence, he gazed at a starless, fathomless sky. Suddenly, two massive black shapes glided overhead, no more than 500 feet up, far lower than any standard flight. Ryan froze, eyes locked on the two stainless steel helicopters. They bore no military colors, no insignia, just pure black, like twin invisible beasts slicing the sky. The strangest part wasn't their form, but their sound, or lack thereof. Ryan knew the roar of Chinook and Black Hawk rotors had stood amid the whirlwinds of their engines. But that night, no engine noise reached him, only a soft hum like wind brushing a giant ceiling fan loosed into the air. His gut sank. Military helicopters had gone beyond stealth, not just in appearance but in sound. If this was a stealth tech test, Ryan thought, Fort Campbell's the perfect spot. Vast, sparsely populated, near air assault brigades. But why would a top-secret test expose itself to a uniformed veteran? Or was this a glimpse of a larger chain of events we can't yet grasp? Before he could process it, the shapes vanished behind a pine ridge, leaving the sky eerily still. Ryan returned to the barracks carrying a nagging question. Is something bigger than any weapon's secret unfolding above us? Ryan's story of silent helicopters isn't unique. Nearby, in a trailer park skirting Fort Campbell, a young woman named Lisa and her mother had an equally uncanny experience. It was another peculiar night. No wind, no moon, lit only by the silver glow of camp lanterns and faint starlight through leaves. Lisa and her mother strolled the campsite, preparing for a family photo shoot. Suddenly, a light breeze stirred the trees, then died. In that hush, they saw an odd object descend near the forest's edge. In the dim light, it resembled an F-15, angular with twin engines, but lacked any navigation lights or identifying paint. Lisa gripped her mother's hand, heart racing. "Mom, look," she whispered. They heard only the crunch of dry leaves under a heavy airflow, but the craft itself was silent, as if its sound systems were switched off. For the first time, Lisa saw a fighter jet, but nothing like Top Gun. It was dark, sleek, a wisp of dense smoke in the night. The F-15 paused briefly, hovering over a forest clearing, then shot upward in a straight line, vanishing into the sky. Lisa's mother, trembling, turned to her, eyes wide with awe and worry. Did that feel like a movie? But both knew what they saw wasn't cinematic fiction. It was real, gliding before them. That night raised questions about classified military tech. If the Air Force was testing stealth or noise suppression, why not choose Nevada's deserts or restricted zones? If this was camouflage, what was its true purpose? Flare drills, training modules, or tech far beyond public knowledge? Tales of mysterious military craft don't stop at Fort Campbell. Across the U.S., from West Coast naval bases to Special Forces training grounds in the Rockies, whispers abound. Reports describe unmarked stealth jets gliding over ranges, witnesses spotting dense black airships with strange gear, others recounting drones shaped like giant birds. The common thread: an uncanny silence in both sound and information. For American audiences, these stories spark more than curiosity. They touch a pride in pioneering exploration. They remind us the U.S. military leads in tech innovation, but raise questions about transparency, civilian safety, and the limits of tech control. When a veteran like Ryan or a daughter like Lisa can witness ghost planes on U.S. soil, something larger is at play beyond media or public reach. These silent craft, whether black helicopters or unmarked F-15s, hint at a distant future. They challenge notions of sound and sight, defying observers' beliefs. Has stealth tech, once sci-fi fodder, reached practical use? What happens if it slips from military control, leaking outward? Answers may be elusive. But one thing's certain: when night falls over Fort Campbell or any base, if you listen to the wind, you'll hear whispers of a new era. An era of silent aircraft, a dance of light and shadow where the line between tech and mystery grows thin. Perhaps our only choice is to look up, wonder, and ask, what's quietly crossing our skies tonight? Looking back at the stories of glowing triangles, silent aircraft, or even egg-shaped objects hovering in the night, a strange commonality emerges. They all appear near military bases, the most heavily guarded yet secretive places. Some call them training flares, but flares don't pause mid-sky, hold formation, or rocket upward like missiles. They certainly don't move in absolute silence while hundreds of rounds crackle through a training night. So, among countless theories, what's the answer that holds up? Fort Carson, Colorado, is where John, a veteran who served near NORAD, experienced one of his most indelible moments. He recalls standing guard on a hillside, eyes on the base, catching fragmented radio chatter and the acrid scent of smoke. Suddenly, a gray, egg-shaped object hovered in the night sky. No identifying colors, no navigation lights, just a metallic blur, so silent it could be mistaken for a cloud's shadow. John had seen enough F-16s and cutting-edge drones to know better. This matched no aircraft, with no telltale whine or vibration through a cockpit canopy. It was like something out of Stranger Things, he said, unannounced, unexplained, but burned into my memory. John isn't alone. Many veterans can't shake the chill of witnessing these anomalies. These are men and women who've survived battlefields, donned full gear, and heard artillery roar overhead, yet found themselves powerless before a silent mystery. Their stories spread swiftly, from training huts to VFW coffee shops. Each retelling, each added detail, makes the picture hazier yet more compelling. Some believe it's top-secret stealth tech. Others whisper of extraterrestrial signs. A few insist it's stress-induced hallucination, born of meager MREs and relentless drill sergeants barking through the night. Yet, every theory stumbles on contradictions. Stealth tech, if real, should be shrouded in secrecy, not flaunted over tightly monitored land. Extraterrestrials, if visiting, why choose armories over desolate deserts? And stress hallucinations? Could hundreds of witnesses across unrelated bases, at different times and places, all conjure the same script? No simple answer satisfies. And perhaps that's what keeps us hooked. When the sky lights up, your phone might overflow with dazzling videos and photos. But would you capture that silent moment when a mysterious glow appears and vanishes, leaving only the thud of your heartbeat in the void? Throughout history, humanity has faced countless enigmas, from giant footprints in deserts to cryptic crop circles in fields. Each time we ask, what's the source? The 2005 Fort Campbell sighting, the egg at Fort Carson, the Kentucky Triangles, all share a purpose. They awaken dormant curiosity, reminding us the world still holds unlit corners. The true value lies not in answers, but in the search. The courage of a veteran pausing in the dark, gazing at the infinite. The patience of those awaiting answers in vain. The zeal of dreamers posing questions, even if mocked as fanciful. That spirit, exploration and boundary pushing, carried humanity from Normandy to the moon and may yet lead to new horizons. So today, I can't offer a final answer. I can only invite you to keep your eyes on the sky, your mind open, and your skepticism tempered. If you've seen an inexplicable light, a strange vapor trail, or heard an engine fade into silence, share your story. Each tale you tell adds a voice, extends the quest, and sparks courage in others to look up and observe. If you're watching this, hit subscribe to catch the next episode. Share this video with friends, especially those into military lore, horror, or unsolved mysteries. Comment below with your experience. Have you seen something odd? A glowing triangle, a lone egg shape, a silent plane crossing the night? Every comment isn't just a story. It's a vital piece of a larger puzzle, the enigma of our skies. And if you're in the US, spread this tale from bases to local bars, quiet streets to evening churches. Only by sharing and questioning together will answers emerge. Thanks for supporting Smoke Pit, and I'll see you in the next episode. Keep your courage and explorer's spirit. Semper Fi.